Welcome back to the Alter Ego Bros. I'm Andy, that's Nick, and today we're going to be talking about Project Hail Mary. As always, let's start off with our scores, okay? I'm a 10 out of 10 with this one. I think I went into this knowing that it was going to be a wannabe Interstellar. It's not Interstellar by any means, but I still like just about everything about it.
I am also a 10 out of 10.
We're finally aligned.
We're aligned! The planets! We did it! I'm a big fan of space movies. I really loved Interstellar and The Martian, so it wasn't really a big surprise to me that I loved this movie.
Project Hail Mary is kind of similar to Interstellar, where it takes place in a future time on Earth. And at this point in time, there's this new bacteria or this mysterious thing that's floating out in space called astrophage. And astrophage, what it's doing is it's literally eating the sun. When it's eating the sun, it's then making Earth cooler. So Earth is cooling down at a very rapid pace to the point that we can't survive this. They decided, they being NASA, decided that they have a project that they're going to call Hail Mary, and it's a long shot where they're going to go to another star system to figure out if there's something over there that can help save us on Earth. They have no idea. It's a long shot. It's a Hail Mary. While out there, Ryan Gosling runs into this other entity that seems to be wanting to work and communicate with them. And it takes some time, but we realize that this other entity is this kind of rock formation creature that is also trying to save its planet from the same issue. And they have this translation issue where they're trying to understand each other, but they have to work together to figure out what the other one is saying. And that takes some challenges, but they start to overcome it slowly and surely. And ultimately, this movie really is about friendship. It's about two creatures that can't communicate, trying to work together to communicate because they have a common goal. So it's about crossing those borders and breaking those borders and not judging one or the other or being selfish in any way. It's really about coming together, working together to solve one common goal. So you're distracted with and its mysteriousness and vastness and everything huge about it. But what it boils down to is just this one little tiny thing, which is just friendship. It's it's heartwarming. It's family. It's working together. And it's a lot of similarities and obviously some symbolism to what we're dealing with here on Earth, but just out in space.
I agree with a lot of what you had to say. One of the more compelling aspects of watching is being able to be fed some pretty complicated science while also it not being completely unintelligible to you. I think that when they explained the Petrova line and the astrophage, that they did it in such a way that made it scientifically accurate. These things eat suns, they eat stars. They then use that energy that they store up to be able to propel themselves crazy amounts of distances. And then we were able to figure out how to harness that into a rocket and propel ourselves a crazy amount of distance. It breaks through that science barrier without being overly technical and without being it's just space magic. So this is by the same author of The Martian, Andy Weir. And one of the things I really like about his style of writing is that after solving a problem, there often comes a resulting problem. And you just have to keep pushing forward to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, until finally everything's solved. You're ready to go home. Uh-oh, there's another problem that happened. And it just keeps going further and further. It's just really fun to watch these two characters in particular tackle those problems and face them head on, not only with the inability to communicate for a good chunk of the movie, but once they are able to communicate with each other, being able to get over those physical limits as well. Rocky can't survive in our atmosphere. We can't survive in Rocky's atmosphere. That's a whole another challenge in and of itself. It was just really fun to see. I absorbed all of it and I loved it. It was just great. I love space.
I'm looking for the science and I want to try to see if they have some accuracies based on my, primitive knowledge from watching Neil deGrasse Tyson on YouTube type stuff. But from that knowledge, I'm looking for it anyway. And so some of the things that I noted where I noticed they did some common things or common sense things that like I think most people are aware of, where you can't hear noise in space. So I'm looking for that. They were very true to that, except for one moment early on. Apart from that, they were very consistent. Even at the point where they were trying to go down to the planet, Adrian, as you start to get into the atmosphere, there's gases. So you start to hear a little bit more noise and it starts to get louder and louder. I was like, yes, that's exactly how it should be. But there were also like hidden detail stuff for like the kind of the science nerds. Along the wall, they had a lot of, and actually they showed it straight up to you, these gold-plated images, these diagrams of just human evolution and whatnot. And that's because like fucking, it's like 50 years ago now. Jesus. We launched Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 with these gold-plated messages to any alien that might happen to come across it, to help show them like, hey, this is where we are. This is kind of what we look like. It's if you have a high enough intuition, you can be able to figure it out. Then we learned and we realized later, it's like, maybe we shouldn't just be telling aliens where we are. Hindsight 2020 on that one, but so far we're fine. And the reason you do it on gold is because gold doesn't tarnish. It's not like iron that's going to rust later in the future. Like, it'll forever be preserved. The first spacewalk that Ryan did, I thought the physics of that looked really good. I'm like, this looks way better than something like what Gravity did, where it just defied gravity almost. But it looked really good. Like momentum stayed and it got bounced back. It was I liked it. No lights in the helmet. This is a big thing I look for, because typically in a movie, the astronauts' helmets, they put lights inside of it so you can see the actor's face better for the camera purposes. Totally makes sense. But scientifically, you're not going to do that, because now you got bright ass light in your face. You can't see out. But what they did is they had a light on the side that would kind of refract off of that helmet glass onto Ryan's face. So he was a little bit dimmer, but you could see him enough. And it made it so that the helmet was a little bit more scientifically accurate. So I love that. That's the first time I've ever seen that happen. So I really love that too. Those were some of the things I noticed. I'm sure there's a million and one things people can notice, but I just wanted to mention those because God damn it, do I love just a scientifically accurate movie. Your turn.
I do think that they could have done a better job explaining the whole coma gene thing, where the other crew members of Grace's ship died because they did have this coma gene, but it wasn't 100% that when you go into an induced coma that you would wake up going out. There were multiple parts that made this a Hail Mary, but that was one of them, is that the scientists didn't have any guarantees that any or all of the crew would actually survive being in an induced coma. That was part of the issue. And I think they kind of gloss over that a little too quickly, which I think they could have said something a little bit more. That's super, super nitpicky. Apparently the book has a lot more to say about that specifically.
I'll gloss over this one, the acting, but then I want to kind of jump into the CGI a bit too, because these two, I just only have really a couple points to talk about. Acting wise, first of all, Ryan Gosling just did a really phenomenal job. He's a quirky guy. I really love the humor he brought into this movie. Like, he's kind of like preluding to next week's video, everybody, about Samara Weaving, is he definitely just brings like these personal, like these unique characteristics to a character that just make it relatable. And he's probably reading the script and understanding the situation and thinking how we are when we're watching it and just saying these common sense things all the time. It's like, yes, thank you for calling that out. That doesn't make sense, does it? Oh, here's why. Okay, cool. It's a very humorous movie with heartfelt moments. And I think that whole blend is just perfect. So anything, the last thing on the acting is Sandra Hüller. She played the main scientist down on Earth for NASA. I think that was just the perfect casting. She just has this like persona about her that's just like very serious and deadpan, but also just like soft and like open. Like you can talk to her about anything, but at the same time, you just like don't want to tell her anything at all. Like she just has this kind of like personality about her that I think was a perfect cast for that role. So I just want to say that was a great job from a casting perspective.
I was a little bit more apprehensive about Ryan Gosling going into the movie, but that quickly dissipated and went away. He just melts into the role and you can't help but not see him anymore and only see Grace.
So CGI wise, I just think overall, like they just did a phenomenal job of making this whole world just seem so beautiful and real and just everything about it, CGI and even practical stuff. But one thing I want to like kind of talk about CGI wise that just like kind of blew my mind. When you're looking at the xenotite compound in its solid form that Rocky would make when he made like his like whole glass wall around him, I am just thinking, because it's a transparent like material, right? That like the amount of refractions you have, because like there's different angles, there's layers on top of each other. And not only that, it's not even like a perfectly smooth surface. It's a little bit bumpy. I'm like, oh, this is like a CGI nightmare.
Yeah, I think it helps that it's a fictitious metal made from xenon gas. Like, if it were something more based in reality, I think that would have been harder to light, but they could do what they want with it. I really enjoyed how everything looked almost 3D printed. And you could see when the tunnel was being built that it kind of was. That aspect of it, bringing in we can build things on the fly and it's actually a metal and it's super quick. That was really fun. And seeing Rocky start off with like the little figures and dancing them around to try and communicate and be like, this is you, this is your ship, go back to your ship, go back to your ship. So I want to say Rocky is 100% practical. He's a puppet.
Wait, is he?
I don't know if you knew that. Rocky is a puppet. I did
not.
It blew my mind.
I've not seen anything online about it either.
Yeah. Wow. As a matter of fact, the voice for Rocky is the puppeteer for Rocky. And the reason that they went with that actor is because when he was puppeteering, he and Ryan were just playing off each other so well. And he was giving sort of like Ryan would improv and do something. And so then the actor would also improv something back. It was the scene where Rocky is like, I hate Matt. And he says that because Grace is talking about his girlfriend's ex or something like that. And they were actually making fun of one of the crew members is what they were doing. And so that's the improv line that got him the role. So that was really cool when I found that out. It blew my mind. Granted, not all of the scenes, like when he's jumping around and doing some stuff outside, but they do have a physical puppet that moves exactly like Rocky does, and it blew my mind.
The last main thing I want to talk about is like, and I don't think you can talk about this movie without talking about it, is the music. So going into this, Daniel Pemberton is the music composer for this. He's done a lot of stuff. He's been around for a long time. I've learned, after looking him up a little bit, there's a dedicated fan base to this guy, and they are pissed he's not won an Oscar yet. and so I've looked at his work, and he's done like a lot of just kind of just random stuff. But some of the stuff that he's done, like I'm familiar with, and I've always thought, oh, he's done that. I've always had in my head, like, he must just be really good at understanding the exact type of music that he needs for that exact type of moment. Not to my surprise, that's how this movie felt to me as well. Normally, when you listen to somebody like a Hans Zimmer, you have like a main theme that carries throughout the whole film. And he does have a theme in this film, and I do love the theme. But it's not as common throughout the entire film. What he really does is focus on this scene, has this kind of emotion, and it's kind of being told in this kind of light. So this is kind of the music that fits this scene. And every single time, he just absolutely nailed it, whether it was something he composed himself or a choice to go with like some sort of like 70s rock song or whatever choice. He did a phenomenal job. So he really surprised me on this, because one of the movies he's actually done in the past that we've reviewed was Eddington. And I looked back on my score, I was like, what did I give Eddington? And I gave it a 1. And I was like, that sounds about right. That seems like what I would judge a typical movie to be like if it did that. But this one did it particularly really well, and I had to go full points on it. So I really loved his creativity, because the music choices he made for each of these scenes were not what I was thinking if I were to see the scene and come up with the music choice. But they were super, super cool and super creative and super perfect. So
I thought it was outstanding. And as you've kind of alluded to, it really did tell the story of Project Hail Mary. I think more important than the music itself was that the absence of it had purpose and weight behind it. It wasn't ever a gimmick. It wasn't ever something that was done because we didn't need music or anything like that. It had a purpose. He played the rests, which is so important when you're talking about music. Nailed it every single time. There was actually a time where the music cut out and there was a person in my row who just audibly gasped. It was just like, because that's the emotion of the scene. That's what it was telling you. And as soon as the music was taken away, that's the feeling you had was, and it was really cool to hear that.
Since we were on the topic of the music, it's super nitpicky. But at the end, you're wondering if Rocky's alive. And they made the choice. This is a direction choice, not a music choice. They made the choice to have the music be uplifting and celebratory before we even see Rocky by a good 5 seconds. I'm like, that needed to happen at the same time. That needed to be an all boom at the same moment. But instead, it's just like, oh, I guess Rocky's alive. I'm still looking at Ryan right now and the music's happy. I'm like, oh, I guess he's alive. We'll find out in a little bit here. And that leads me to my final point. I needed to feel more suspense throughout the movie. There needed to be more times when I felt like somebody could actually die. I never really felt that way. And this was a movie too. I was hoping I would have moments where I would cry because I'd feel sad about something. I just never got there. I don't think any suspenseful moment really held on long enough or did any sort of job that made me feel like anyone was ever at risk. I never even felt like when Rocky risked his life to save Ryan that Rocky was going to be dead. It just didn't feel it. And I'm not sure what they needed to do differently for me to feel it, but the overall criticism is just I just didn't feel that suspense.
I actually made the same comment about the suspense, especially because The Martian is chock full of those moments. And you're right, you don't really feel that in Project Hail Mary, but with it having a 2 hour and 40-minute runtime, I don't know where they would have fit it in otherwise without leaving other stuff out on the floor or without making it seem too long. I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on it. I do like that it was more of a just straightforward science fun adventure movie and not really a suspenseful movie.
But as always, don't just take our word for it. Let's see what the internet has to say. So scouring the internet, it looks like the audience gives this about a 9.5 out of 10, and critically, it's about a 9 out of 10. We're in the ballpark. I think we're a bit higher, and I think we're a bit more right. So with that said, let's look at maybe more of a negative view to contrast our review and see what somebody who didn't like it had to say. So this person had to say, in my personal top 5 of worst science fiction films I've ever seen. Almost 3 hours of film in which very little of any real importance happens, with a second half that slumps in on itself in an embarrassing way. The alien Rocky, intended to be iconic, is simply unbearable. A symbol of a sacredness so pervasive it borders on manipulative. The screenplay systematically avoids any intellectual tension, preferring instant sentimentality and situational humor. The finale drags on beyond any reasonable necessity. Science fiction crafted to move the masses, not to make you think. As a genre fan, this is a disappointment that's hard to forgive. That took me 20 tries to read. I learned about 5 words in there, and I have no idea what they just said.
I think this person's really fun at parties. No, this seems like they're being obtuse to be obtuse. They're just wanting to go against the flow and be different, be cool. Oh, everybody likes this one. I thought it was actually intellectually unstimulating.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end. We really appreciate that. Hey, while you're here, how about you have yourself a little bit of a Hail Mary and like and subscribe the video. And remember, we're just 2 regular dudes
doing regular reviews.
A symbol of a, what the heck? Saccharine. What?
This is a great word, okay?
Yes, okay. I know what saccharinous is. I've never seen the word in my life, and I am astonished at the spelling of this word.
Right?
Borders it, no, damn it. On manipulate. God damn. Okay. The screenplay. God, Jesus. The screenplay systematically. The screenplay. Jesus. Preferring instant God damn these words. Sentimentality. Why did you throw this one at me?
Why do you think I threw this one at you? I wanted to hear you read this.
One day, this type of writing, which is true and probably existed more like 30 years ago, how people would talk about this, is going to look very Shakespearean in the future. And you're going to look like a total idiot and no one's going to give a shit.